When the bus broke down, Daniel stepped off mostly to stretch his legs, expecting the familiar glow of headlights behind him and maybe the rumble of distant traffic. Instead, the air felt oddly thick, like it had been holding its breath. When he turned around, expecting to see the bus and the long stretch of road he had just traveled, his spine stiffened. The road was gone, not hidden by fog, not swallowed by night, just gone. In its place lay a narrow dirt path framed by crooked trees he did not recognize. He stared at it, blinking repeatedly as if the act might redraw reality. But the path did not change. He whispered to himself, "This was not here." His voice sounded small, swallowed instantly by the stillness around him. No wind disturbed the leaves, no insects hummed, no distant engine grumbled along the highway. The silence was so complete it felt artificial, like everything had paused for him alone. Tentatively, he followed the path, each step soft on the dust, the air cooling further with every meter. After several minutes, the trees opened into a small clearing where a lonely wooden station stood, illuminated by a single lantern hanging crookedly above the entrance. The lantern emitted a weak amber glow, flickering as though it struggled to stay alive. The station itself looked as if it had been built decades ago, planks warped, paint peeling, windows fogged from the inside. But it also did not feel abandoned. Something about the light felt intentional, like a signal meant specifically for him. He moved closer, gravel crunching softly beneath his boots, and the faint smell of old timber reached his nose. A cold draft swept past, brushing the back of his neck. He stopped. Someone, or something, whispered his name behind him. The voice was faint, trembling, almost disbelieving. Daniel. It felt like the whisper was not calling him but confirming him. Heart pounding, Daniel gripped the tarnished handle and pushed the station. Inside the station, Daniel was greeted by a room that felt caught between untouched preservation and quiet decay. Dust coated every flat surface, yet the air did not smell stale. The wooden floorboards groaned under his weight, but the rest of the room remained eerily still, as if it had been waiting for the exact moment he entered. The faint glow from the lantern outside spilled through a smeared window, drawing a soft beam across the counter where a lone object rested, a thick black leather-bound ledger. There were no chairs, no signs, no ticket booths, just that ledger. Its cracked spine and worn cover suggested age, yet the way it sat perfectly centered made it feel purposeful. Daniel approached slowly, each step muffled by the thin veil of dust. When he reached the counter, he hesitated before placing his hand on the book. The leather was warm, not room temperature warm, body warm, as if a hand had just recently let go. A faint tremor passed through him. Against his better judgment, he opened the ledger. The pages were filled edge to edge with names written in a shaking, frantic script. Lines slashed through some. Dates hovered beside others. One recurring note made his breath hitch, return. Some names lacked context, others were smudged into near oblivion, and a few seemed to have been written over repeatedly, as though someone had changed their mind about the letters. He flipped deeper, heart thudding faster with each page. Then he saw it, near the bottom of a mostly empty sheet, written in ink so fresh it still glistened under the dim light, Daniel Hale. His throat tightened. He had not written it. No one else had been here. He stepped back sharply, knocking into the counter behind him. "Who is here?" he demanded, his voice cracking into the stillness. No answer. Then, from the shadowed far corner, a calm whisper floated out. "You are—" Daniel spun toward the voice, expecting emptiness, but a woman stood partially hidden in the dimness, half lit by the trembling lantern outside. Her clothes were dusty, hair tangled, face pale and drawn. She looked like she had been trapped inside this place far longer than anyone should. Her eyes locked onto him with a mixture of relief and dread, as if his presence confirmed something she desperately wished were not true. "You made it back," she whispered. Daniel stared, baffled. "Back? I have never been here." She flinched at the words, shaking her head slowly. "You said that yesterday, too." Same tone, same confusion. "You always forget the previous time." Her voice cracked near the end, revealing her fear. She stepped forward cautiously, as if walking toward a wounded animal. "It resets you, or it tries to." The room felt even colder. Daniel grabbed the door handle behind him and yanked it open, desperate to escape her unsettling certainty. But the moment he stepped through, he froze. He was standing in the same room, same counter, same woman staring at him, same lantern glow slicing across the dust. He stumbled backward, panic rising. "What is this?" he shouted. "What is happening?" She swallowed hard and pointed toward the fogged window. "It is starting earlier this time. It notices sooner when you are wrong." Ron, he demanded. Before she could answer, a tall shadow glided past the window. Its shape resembled a human outline, but the gait was too smooth, too steady, too deliberate to be natural. Her voice fell to a trembling whisper. Your other self. And it is looking for the version of you that should not exist. Night did not fall naturally. It simply dropped, as though someone flipped a switch that erased the remaining daylight in an instant. One blink, and the windows darkened into glossy black mirrors. Daniel stared at his reflection, except it was not behaving like a reflection. Its chest rose and fell a second late. Its eyes did not blink when he blinked. It watched him with an unsettling, delayed awareness, as if trying to remember how human expressions worked. Elise grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. Do not look at them directly, she hissed. They mimic you, and when they learn enough, they try to replace you. Before Daniel could process her words, a heavy step echoed from the hallway at the far end of the station. Then another. Slow, deliberate, dragging, like something testing the weight of its own lungs. A cluster of whispers followed, layered variations of Daniel's own voice, repeating fragments of thoughts he had not spoken aloud. I need to leave. This cannot be real. Run. A shape emerged from the dark. It was him, but fragile, unfinished. Its posture was his, but wrong. Its movements lagged behind like a corrupted animation struggling to stay synchronized. The doppelganger tilted its head with a sharp, unnatural twist, studying him with hollow intent. The way its lips curled into a smile mirrored Daniel's own smile perfectly, except Daniel had never smiled like that in his life. That is the one that found you yesterday, Elise whispered. It almost took your place. But you reset. And it hates when you reset. Daniel stepped back, breath trembling. Reset? What does that mean? She kept her gaze fixed on the floor. This place does not just trap you. It copies you. Each time you loop, it gets closer to making a version that can walk out and replace you. The lantern outside sputtered violently, its flame bending inward as though pulled by the darkness. The reflection in the window blinked out of sync again, its eyes shifting from Daniel to the approaching figure. All the reflections followed. The doppelganger's voice cracked through the air, distorted yet unmistakably his. Only one of you leaves, it murmured. And this time, I am ready. Lee shoved Daniel toward the back corridor. Run, it is faster tonight. The reflections all turned their heads at once, following him as he bolted into the twisting hall. Daniel sprinted down the warped corridor, heart hammering as the station twisted around him. The walls stretched unnaturally, bending inward one moment and expanding outward the next, as if the building were reshaping itself to funnel him somewhere inevitable. The floor groaned under his feet, boards shifting like they were alive. Behind him, the doppelganger's footsteps echoed in perfect rhythm, unyielding and synchronized. It was not chasing him. It was shadowing him, step for step. Lisa's voice cut through the chaos, distant but desperate. Do not let it catch your breath. If it breathes when you do, it becomes you. He had no idea what that meant, but terror pushed him forward. The hallway flickered, and for a moment Daniel saw flashes of other versions of himself, blurred silhouettes sprinting alongside him, some slower, some collapsing, some being dragged into the shadowed corners by unseen hands. A faint glow appeared ahead, a door, an exit. Real or not, he did not care. He lunged toward it, legs burning, lungs tearing with each gasp. The air behind him thickened, as if the creature was drawing closer, pulling the oxygen out of the space around him. Just as he reached the door, Lee screamed, a sharp, phony cry that cut off suddenly, devoured by whatever hunted the station's forgotten occupants. Daniel burst through the doorway and stumbled into a pale, washed-out dawn. Cold air hit him like a slap. The road stretched ahead, cracked, empty, strangely familiar yet wrong in small ways. He staggered forward, trembling, gulping in the early morning air as if it were the first breath he had ever taken. Then the station door slammed shut behind him with finality. Something compelled him to turn. Through the grime-smeared window stood himself, his true self, pounding desperately on the glass. His face was contorted with horror, eyes bloodshot, mouth forming silent pleas Daniel could not hear. The figure outside, the one wearing his skin, stood perfectly still, head tilted at the same unnatural angle as the imitation he had fled from. It did not look at the trapped Daniel. It looked at him, the new version, the replacement. A faint flutter echoed from inside the building. The ledger on the counter flipped open on its own, pages rustling until it reached the entry bearing his name. New ink bled across the page in crooked strokes, forming a final line. Return, Daniel Hale, heir. The other Daniel's silent screams fogged the glass as the replacement turned away from the station and began walking into the dawn with a borrowed body and a perfect smile.